was writing about his case, and then it's also about her struggle through, being consumed by it. And then I watched Atlanta's Missing and Murdered Children. And then I also watched a documentary called, it's about...
That's a great title.
Yeah, right. No, it's not called Adventure Park. Is that it? About the water park in Jersey? Action Park. Yes.
Kara, let me tell you something.
Does it involve death?
I know this.
Yes, it does involve death.
I mean, I'm detecting a pattern here, Kara.
Not only did we go to Action Park,
boy,
Golden State Killer.
One of my friends
was killed
on
at
the ride that made it deadly. He went on the loop ride.
Apparently, it's not just the loop ride that was deadly. Most of the rides were deadly, which you will learn if you watch Action Park. But yeah, the loop ride they talk about in detail.
Yeah, that was a bad thing.
Yeah, because apparently Action Park was just run by a guy who paid budget engineers to build rides that were as dangerous and crazy as possible. I mean, it's a banana. The fact that you guys live so close to Jersey and know about it, and you kind of grew up with this, you've got to watch this doc.
Ian, are we having hang on, guys. Are we having a technical issue?
Yeah,
Ian?
I'm trying to tell everybody. YouTube went poopy for some reason. I don't know, but it's up again. So
just on YouTube.
I blame Skype. I blame Skype.
So they'll just re-log in.
They'll just click another link. Okay. I just sent it.
All right.
So they were. Is it just YouTube though that people are watching?
Yeah, it's just YouTube. Anybody on Facebook and Twitter should be fine.
Okay, so I'm seeing it's back. It's fixed.
We got censored. We got canceled.
Yeah, they already have it.
Yeah, we
got Glass Action Park.
Yeah, so Kara, if I'm correct, so the guy who wrote that, I'm pretty sure. I know that he wrote the book, but the son of the guy who created Action Park wrote the book.
Whoa!
And he probably was involved in the documentary because they're just.
Jay, didn't we see that documentary? We saw that 8 months ago.
It's not that
No, this one is brand new, and
it's new.
Oh, another documentary. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, there was one that was not that good.
This one's well done. They have a bunch of Jersey comedians, like my friend Allison Becker. I've talked to you guys about her. She's the from Parks and Rec.
Yeah,
she's in it, and a handful of comedians who grew up in Jersey to kind of provide color. And it goes from really funny to teenagers were stupid and everybody's getting hurt to there's some dark parts because some people died for neglect. So, but it's super interesting. And it reminds you of a time. I would have been too young. I was born in the 80s. Yeah. So this was much more about kids. Yeah, Action Park. This was much more about kids who were teenagers in the 80s. But when there were no rules.
Yeah.
It was just nuts.
One of my main memories from Action Park is they had, on a hill, they had these
Alpine
trenches.
slide.
The Alpine slide, basically like a concrete trench that you rode a cart down. So you're riding a cart
they talk a lot
down.
about the Alpine slide.
So I remember, was it Jay? Jay and a couple other people fell off of it. And when they fell, they landed on the concrete or whatever and scraped the crap out of their leg. And then we would go to the medical station at Action Park, and they would put that iodine on it.
Bob, this is all in the doc. It's amazing.
Stain the skin, and it hurts so hard. But
there's a bank in that ride where unless you know exactly how to take it, you will fly off. So everybody flies off. They also said that the ski lift goes above it, and people would jam and knock the things off the ski lift and pummel people below. And it was actually, they said that luge thing was the most dangerous ride in the park because of that reason.
Glad we survived
fall off. My knee, because when you're in it, your legs are very close up to your chest like this, and my knee just leaned out of the cart and literally it touched the concrete, thing that you're riding on top of. So, it's my leg touched the road moving at probably 15 miles an hour. And it just rips off, enough skin where the skin is perfectly white. You ever see skin that's kind of 2 or 3 layers down? It's that skin is totally white. I remember the guy sprayed the iodine on my leg, and I instantly saw stars. I was just whoa!
They said it was the most painful, that it would bring bodybuilders to their knees, that iodine spray.
Yeah.
And then you would just see people walking around the park with these badges of honor.
Yeah,
so
I still have a
gross.
scar. I have a bad scar, and they'll never go away from that.
Oh, geez. Yeah, watch the doc. You'll love it.
Yeah, they're saying it's called Class Action Park.
Yeah, Class
which is
Action Park.
The perfect name. My God.
Bob, did you see about LIGO's latest discovery?
Yeah, I did read something brief about it. They detected it was a huge, uncharacteristic little blip in the force about, and it was like, but basically what? It was like two medium or at least one medium black hole. So we're talking what? Hundreds of solar masses. How many solar
66
masses?
and 88, I think. Were the two.
Okay, so this is
So it's in the
this was-
gap. It's in the gap where there
Right,
aren't supposed to
okay.
be any stellar remnant black holes. So two black holes collided. Again, they're in that gap. The first time that we've detected black holes of this size. Yeah, and the gap is caused by an interesting phenomenon. Bob, you familiar with it?
Yeah, I forget. It had some weird name, started with a K. Some unusual.
No,
No.
I'll tell you. It's the
What's it called?
pair instability. Pair instability.
Yes.
So stars of this size that would create black holes
Yeah, I
of
read
that
that.
size, like before they go supernova, they can collapse partially, and that causes a runaway thermonuclear reaction, which basically causes the star to blow itself completely apart.
Completely. No
Smithereens.
remnant.
So there's no remnant.
remnant neutron star or black hole.
No
Yeah,
remnant, nothing.
Right.
So you can't have a stellar remnant that's 80 solar masses, right? So if you have a black hole that size, it must have formed some other way,
Right.
right? So either it was smaller and it merged, or it's the merging of primordial black holes, or these are black holes that formed in the accretion disk around a supermassive black hole, or it's one that was like grew over time because it was sucking in a companion or something. So it was interesting. So we found two of them at once because they collided into each other.
Yeah, and it was not the typical like bloop. It was kind of a different
Yeah,
reading. in
right.
the,
LIGO and Virgo both detected it,
Yeah.
Cool.
which is
I
good.
think there's another LIGO coming online, so we'll have 4, I think, which will make it even more accurate. It's gravitational wave astronomy is so fascinating. It's a once in a lifetime thing where we
Yeah.
got this new window into the universe that we never had before, and the best is when you combine gravitational wave astronomy with optical astronomy,
Oh, yeah.
and you combine those two together. You detect the gravitational waves, then you look at it optically. It's like amazing, just an amazing double tap of awesomeness.
Yeah,
And I can't wait till we get some of these setups in space where you can have like a million miles apart satellites, and really then you could detect things that we just can't even hope to detect on the Earth. Potentially even gravitational waves from the Big Bang. Hello, that would be awesome. That's the only way we're going to get that close to the Big Bang.
are we going to have to put them at a Lagrange point,
Oh, my
Maybe.
Lagrange.
the giant space LIGO?
Steve, I got a question
Maybe.
for you about Trump's decision to not partake in the COVID vaccine,
Yeah,
mutual swap program. First
The
off,
international one, yeah.
I mean, what exactly does it mean to be a part of that program? And my second part of the question is, and what does it mean if the U.S. doesn't join it
You mean politically or medically?
medically?
yeah. I haven't done a deep dive on that, to be honest with you. So I don't know much more than that. That there's like basically the different countries like we're going to work together on a vaccine and we're going to share the vaccine. Whoever gets it, we're going to distribute it based on need, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's a good thing, and it also is a bad thing. I think that the U.S. is not going to participate, but I don't know a lot of the details. Like the question of like how much of a difference is it going to make, I'm not really sure. I have to look into that some more.
Well, and do you remember, Jay, when we did one of my stories maybe 2 months ago on the show was about vaccine nationalism?
Yeah.
Remember I covered that topic, this idea that like we want to be first and we want to like hoard it just for ourselves. And that actually is, even though you would think that would put us in a more prime position to get the medication, for all of our citizens faster and more securely, it actually screws us. Like being involved in a global effort is actually helps everybody involved.
Yeah,
because
it's a
we're gonna get the
pandemic.
best candidate. Yeah, exactly. It's a pandemic first, so like everybody needs to be treated, but also we're gonna get
It's
the
not
best
a monodemic.
candidate.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hey, really?
Like, if we're only allowing American companies to be in the running, then we're limiting ourselves.
Yeah.
That's problematic. I mean, and right now, obviously, we're seeing a lot of politicization of the FDA as it is. I mean, we just talked about the show doesn't air until tomorrow.
Yeah, we just will have talked about it
Preview.
tomorrow.
We will have just talked about it. I mean, the idea that a vaccine might be available the day before the election. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Coinky dink.
They're fast tracking it, but I mean, again, as we discuss tomorrow on the show tomorrow, that this takes a lot of trust, and we got to trust that they're balancing it right, which means they're listening to the science, and there's no political agenda at stake. And who can think that now?
And
the waters have been muddied with the FDA and the CDC.
There's a certain point where you can't do anything. If in phase 3, you have to let it go.
It takes time.
And the only way to be able to say screw it is if you unblind it and you realize that the effect size is so overwhelming that it really, really works and it really is not risky at all. Then, of course, you can move it forward. But what are the odds that's going to happen?
Right.
Kara, you said something about 2 minutes ago that means I'm not going to sleep tonight.
What?
And that is that, did you say that Trump is going to release a vaccine the day before the election?
He wants to.
Is that, did he say that? Or
No, the CDC is saying, is telling states, be ready for the first distribution of a vaccine on November 1st, which is whatever, 2 days before the election.
Is this a coincidence, or is this Trump pulling strings to make it happen?
It's all Trump. It's all political.
It's all Trump.
How do you know, right?
I mean, I am skeptical that it's not.
Yeah. Obviously we don't really know, but it's suspicious. The point is we need to be confident that it isn't political, and we can't be given all that's happened.
The politicization that has happened so far between the CDC and the FDA. And also Fauci came out right after and said, guys, that's a pipe dream.
Yeah. Right.
It's we're lucky if we get something going in November, December, but even then it's only going to go to frontline workers. It's just, that's not happening.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Okay. I'll have to, over medicate myself tonight so I can get some sleep.
Yeah. I just feel like it's not good ammunition for the anti-vaxxers, right?
I know.
We already have a problem with people probably not wanting to get the vaccine.
They're going to say, they're rushing it, and then it's going to not be safe.
Right. And I'd be wary if the vaccine was ready in November too.
Yeah, the last thing you want to do is give them any legitimate points to pounce on.
Well, plus, Steve, you remember I asked the question. I said, are there any ethical concerns with doing it this way?
Yeah. Yeah, it's about the balance, right? It's risk versus benefit. There's risk to taking too long. There's risk for going too fast. And you just go, where's the sweet spot? And that is a scientific question.
The big thing about phase 3 is that, unlike with lab animals, you can't just inject people with COVID and see which ones get sick and which ones don't. You have to wait until they naturally encounter it.
Yeah.
And so that means you need to have enough people taking the vaccine versus the placebo over a long enough period of time. You can't force that. It just has to happen.
So a friend of mine is a teacher. I think she teaches 8-year-olds, I think.
Jay, you're a little soft. Did Jay's volume low, or is it just me?
Yeah, it did. He just got quiet.
Was I turning my head away from the mic?
Yes. Usually, yes.
I'm doing
Audio's
that.
a directional
Pull the bob.
thing.
I know. I'm turning my head because it actually, for some reason, helps me remember things. I have to shake the stuff loose in my head. So
Turn your head the other way.
Line is, she was giving me some details about how the school is preparing, how serious the school is taking the whole thing, and what her fear in the whole thing. And her summary was, it's a total train wreck. The supplies they gave her were a joke. They were supposed to be giving them all sorts of sanitizers and hand sanitizers and all this. They didn't really supply them correctly. They didn't, she went into some early school meetings and nobody was wearing a mask, including the principal. Really? How can that be happening at this point?
That's so scary. I saw a post on Twitter of some woman who was like, this is my sanitary kit for the entire year. And it was a Ziploc bag with one leaking bottle of hand sanitizer and a soaked through mask. Jesus. She's like, this is supposed to carry me for the year.
Yeah.
Oh my
Fail.
gosh. But Jay.
Yes.
I mean, not to get too political, but since we're already on the topic, how have you not brought up the fact that Trump literally was telling people to test the system by voting twice?
I was going to get to that. I didn't want it to be like, non-Trump news item, then Trump, and then non-Trump.
But I can't. I mean, that just happened. It up.
All right, so here's my quickie summary. So Trump was telling people in North Carolina, go ahead, vote in person, and then do a mail-in vote, and let's test to see if the system is as secure as the Democrats claim it is. And then the second shoe drop was when Wolf Blitzer interviewed Barr.
Wolfie.
Now, this is a guy that is supposed to have an exquisite understanding of the laws in our country.
Barr.
And Barr said in response to Wolf Blitzer asking him, what do you think about the question or the statement that Trump made about voting twice? And he said, well, I don't know what the particular laws are in North Carolina.
And so every news outlet had to put
it's illegal to vote twice.
Yeah, it is illegal to vote twice. Like disclaimer. Like, oh my.
Yeah, they've been arresting people. I've been reading news stories about and they don't wait. I mean, they don't leave it alone for just current stuff. They arrested people back in like 2015, 2016. Yeah. They only picked them up like recently and caught them for voting twice and arrested them. So it's not like it's do it quick, go away, no, everyone forgets about it. They'll track you down and arrest you. Oh,
it's fundamentally antithetical to democracy. The fact that he would actually
Somebody in the chat said I gave an incomplete account of what they said. Would you like me to go and read the entire text of everything? I mean, I'm assuming that you read about this and that I don't have to go back in and give every detail. Well, and you're missing the point, because it's not the point right now, and I hope you're detecting the annoyance in my voice, is not to give a complete account, but to discuss the absolute idiocy and manipulation and malfeasance that we just fucking saw on TV the last 2 days. That's the point. Not that I didn't actually tell the whole fucking story.
Daddy's mad.
Yeah, because I'm an idiot if I didn't actually get every single word and every turn of phrase that Trump said. Give me a fucking break.
Oh boy.
I mean, yeah, the bottom line is that, Trump is actually telling his people to commit a crime. In some states, it's a felony.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a felony.
Because who the hell wants to try to get inside his mind and figure out what he's doing, why he's doing it? I don't think he even knows necessarily. But I think there's just a general sense that no matter what happens, it reduces the legitimacy and confidence in the election. And it just generates chaos.
And that's ultimately the point, right?
Yeah, that's the ultimate point.
To say, let's test the system is just one in a long line of evidence that is what Trump does, is he tests the system.
Yeah.
He tries to see how far he can go, because it's only going to help him. Either it's going to give him an unfair advantage, or if it backfires and people get caught, then he's going to say, well, this isn't a legitimate election. We need a recount, or we need to redo it. Like, he wins either way. That's the problem.
Right.
Yeah, because one thing that we've learned, like Bob and I have been saying, Trump has been this profound stress test on our democracy. And
right, exactly.
So now we see all these epic holes. We could see that that a single person who is in charge of 1/3 of the political prowess of our country, the president's office, is so epically powerful. And the problem is that these checks and balances that we've been hearing about our entire life, today, I don't know how they were 50 years ago, but today they're a joke, because Congress cannot actually do any kinds of legit checks and balances. I haven't seen it done once.
Well, Congress doesn't want to, right? Or I should say the Senate doesn't want to. And then Congress doesn't want to, sorry. The House of Representatives. And then you add to that the fear, because here's my biggest fear. If Trump wins re-election, right? Sure, democracy is being threatened. Sure, all of these horrible things are happening. There is a chance that he will be able to elect 2 to 3 more, or confirm 2 to 3 more Supreme Court justices during the next 4 years, which means that 5 out of 9 of the justices on the sitting court will be Trump appointees, and that is a lifetime appointment.
Mm-hmm.
What the F?
Yeah,
talk about division of powers.
Yeah.
I mean, Now it's okay. He's the executive. He has control over half of the legislative, and he's controlling the judiciary. That's scary.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's like everything
Beyond
is riding on this
important.
election. It's so, like, this goes so far beyond political parties. You know, this is like, that's why I get so frustrated, because I'm like, all right, yeah, I get it. You're a Republican. I was a Republican most of my life. I didn't think on it as much as I do now, of course. But the point is, really, like, your loyalty to a party goes over the insanity that we're seeing, but they don't see the insanity. They instantly compartmentalize it, and they instantly like change the narrative in their mind. And we're not talking about people that can be talked to.
Well,
that
and
is the problem.
It's almost unfair to even, and I'm not saying you're doing this, but to even paint the Republican Party with such a broad brush, because the Republican Party it's a weird iteration now, right? There are plenty of Republicans who are not proponents of Trump and feel like they don't have a home. The scariest thing is the people who basically are not Republicans, but they are dedicated to a person.
Yeah.
And that's the scary thing about, a strong man.
Well, that's the thing that breaks
followers.
democracy. And even like the founding fathers were concerned that a demagogue could hijack the system, because if you have exactly what Trump is doing right now, you have enough voters behind you, and then you can threaten your own party members with, I'll turn the voters against you if you don't back me up. And then all the checks and balances just go away,
Right.
So that's basically what's happening. That's what we're seeing happen. That's demagoguery.
It's demagoguery. It's not about parties. It's about a person.
Yeah.
And that's scary.
But Barr should have said, now listen, there are, like, somebody mentioned this in the chat, and I read about it earlier today. Yes, there, like Sweden as an example, you can vote twice. Your second vote is the one that counts, right? If you choose to vote again, you can change your vote. And the second one is the one that they record. But that's not
twice, count once. That's a system.
But that is not what we do in the United States.
No.
And as the person who represents the living law in the United States, Barr should have said to Wolf Blitzer, look, before I even get into the particulars of this, let me tell you very matter-of-factly, it is a felony to vote twice.
Right.
You cannot do it. No one will do it. And if you do, you're going to feel the arm of justice smack you in the face. But instead, he did such a sideways walk to make it so he didn't have to contradict Trump. It was pathetic.
Right. Instead of showing a pure and unfettered allegiance to the constituents, to the citizens of this country, which is the only allegiance he should have, he showed a split allegiance to the president. And that's so frustrating. It's the same thing when you saw the hearings with the post office guy. I mean, he didn't know anything about being the postmaster general. He doesn't even understand his position. And it's like all these appointees who are in these positions simply because they curried favor or because they're friends. This is how a democracy unravels. We need intelligent people who are good at their jobs and who have resumes to be in positions where they actually have real power.
Not just intelligent people, but people that surround themselves with intelligent people.
Yes,
which is
absolutely.
He did not hire the best people. He promised.
No, he hired people without resumes. It's just bananas. It's like, I wouldn't want my physician. I wouldn't want my lawyer.
Right.
I wouldn't,
Well, basically, if you donate enough money, then you will get this sweetheart deal of a job, ambassador, postmaster general. Just
why would you
donate
even
enough
want
money.
that job? Right? Like, why would you want a job where you have to have power over something, but you don't know anything about the thing you have power over? That seems scary to me.
Yeah, the fact that they actually even accepted these jobs, that they were clearly unqualified, I mean, that's telling as well.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on, because I'd like to do a little heart rate control here. Evan, I did see some percolation with people talking about your puzzle. I want to say, though, before the show started, when Evan asked all of us, we were all completely flummoxed with this one, because it's not easy unless it's like if you know it type of thing, I think.
That did seem to be the case, because some people were saying they didn't even need the hint right here.
Yeah.
Take a rough guess.
Yeah.
As to figure out what these numbers represent. So these numbers, and as Jay alluded, there are correct guesses, so we'll just say it right now. These are Sandpaper grit ratings or grit sizes. So this is actually an official count. This is how it works. Grit sizes refer to the size of the particles of abrading materials embedded in the sandpaper. Measurements are determined by the amount of the abrasive material that can fit through a square inch filter. So, and people were also commenting, this is like, this looks familiar somehow, these numbers. Yeah, because how many of us have not handled sandpaper at some point in our lives? Raise your hand. None, of course, because we all have done it.
But I don't think I've ever bought sandpaper.
It must have.
It's like it just like appears in my toolkit. I don't know how.
That, you know what the exact opposite of that is, Kara?
What?
One day your WD-40 bottle that you have will just disappear and you will not have any idea where it went. Like they just do kind of arrive and disappear all on their own.
But Kara, that's the thing about sandpaper. It gets everywhere.
Yeah.
It's really annoying.
It's coarse.
So
the smaller the number, the more coarse it is. Obviously, the top line 24, 30, 36 is extra coarse. Below that are the coarse grades. Next is medium. Next is fine, and next is last on this list is very fine. These are called the macro grits. Now, there is also a scale of micro grits, but the board didn't allow me room to go into the micro grits. Those numbers go up to 1,000. So you're talking some very fine sandpaper for some very specific work at that point.
Is that made out of sand still, or is it like diamond paper?
It's considered sandpaper.
Yeah,
ultra fine,
like
800 or
minerals.
1,000, usually for the final sanding and polishing of thick finishes.
Interesting.
Oh, and this is the United States scale, the CAMI grit designation. So it is an official scale. It's used by the United States and several countries around the planet. There are some other ones. There's an ISO FIPA one, but I didn't go with that one. So congratulations to all you sandpaper aficionados out there. And Jay.
Yes,
all right, Bob, while we're doing this, you want to tell us what's behind you?
Oh yeah, I got some dead guys. Yeah, these are zombie props that I have in the basement. I just love them all. This guy is my favorite. I bought this guy 10 years ago. He's still in great shape. This is actually a costume. This is actually meant to be a costume because what happens is you put him over your head and put one arm through, so it looks like a zombie's grabbing you from behind. So I remember when Jay, I don't know if you remember, we haunted my basement like 15 years ago, and I put this guy on, and the kids would come down the basement, and I just like ran in screaming because I had a zombie on my back.
Yeah, of course I remember that.
I love this guy. I hope he lasts forever. But these are just other, latex zombies that I love.
I like the one in the corner, Bob. He's the scariest looking.
This guy?
To me. Yeah, he looks the most real to me.
Yeah, he's creepy.
Bob, do you still have that vampire that was like from the waist up on a pole that you can control its head and everything?
So yeah, that was basically a harness. I should bring that up. The harness on your chest, and there's a pole coming out, and there's a zombie, a half of a zombie, a vampire attached to it. And I have these two control arms that control his elbows. So basically, I can move his arms. So his arms do this, and I squeeze a lever, and his head turns when I squeeze the lever. So what you could do is you could wear this contraption and have him go out of a window. So if you're looking outside, this like flying, floating vampire comes out of the window. It's an amazing prop.
Well, Bob, I used that prop for a time in your corn haunt.
Yes.
And of course, that night in a corn maze, you wear black. You have that in front of you. So you're basically invisible. And it really looks like the guy's floating and zooming out of the corn at people. It was awesome. Scared the crap out of people with that thing.
That's an amazing little prop. And also, I bought a new prop yesterday at Home Depot. And here's a hint.
Get ready.
Here's a hint. That's how big his damn foot is. This
Skeletal Bigfoot?
Bigfoot was never this big. This is the 12-foot zombie made in China.
Skeleton, not zombie.
Did I say zombie? I mean, it's a skeleton. It's a 12-foot skeleton that's amazing. He's going to be like the centerpiece of my haunt in my house this year. I'm really excited. I have the skull. You want to see how big the skull is?
Yes.
Even if you said no, I'd still do it.
Kara, I think you're laughing at me and Bob and not with us at that
Yes,
point, right?
to
Yes.
show me.
Oh my God, it's awesome.
Here is the skull that fits on his head.
Oh, that's that
Here is
ventriloquist.
the skull that fits
what's
on his head.
name?
That is
Yes.
his head, Bob.
Oh,
The skull that,
That's his
the skull,
head?
yeah, you're right, Jay. I meant the skull that fits on his neck.
Why does he
And-
only have one eye?
Well, it's just like it just shows you what his eye will look like when I connect the power.
Eye.
His eyes will
Power.
light up, and he'll blink, and he'll look left and right, and he'll close and open his eyes.
How big would
So-
that brain be? Like 4,000 cc or something?
Yeah.
Huge.
More than that.
I'm psyched
So
about
I'm
that.
really excited to put that guy together. 12 feet tall. So my plan. All right, I'll tell you about my plan for Halloween. So this guy's the big guy's going to be in front of the fireplace, and then in front of him is going to be my shorter skeleton. He's only 8 feet tall. I thought he was gargantuan.
That's the
but
Wii skeleton.
I don't know. I got Wii skeleton, and then in front of him is going to be my normal skeletons: a human skeleton, a werewolf skeleton, a two-headed skeleton. This is all bipedal skeletons, no animal skeletons, just all bipeds, except for the mermaid one. That's not a biped. That's like a hero
Uniped?
Fish
ped.
pet.
yeah.
Monoped?
Aquaped.
And then so then in front of
Aquapod.
that is going to be the skeletons that are this tall, and then in front of them are going to be the little guys, the really tiny guys.
Like a forced
like-
perspective kind of thing.
So it's good. Yeah. So no, this is going to be. He's got the main skeleton and all his minions.
Somebody
you know.
put in the chat, he's going to be very popular.
It's going to be very popular.
Right.
what's that
Popular
from?
with the ladies.
What's that from?
That's from
Young Frankenstein.
Young Frankenstein, yeah.
God, it's been a long time since I saw that movie. Like a really long time.
Yeah,
Maybe
it's
I
a
should
great
dust that
movie.
one off.
The wolf.
So
The castle. Every line is funny. I don't know
Oh my
how they did
gosh.
that.
right.
It was
Jay,
a
I
funny
just-
movie. It
Classic.
held up 95%.
Yep.
Couple of scenes are like cringy.
Yeah.
Not many. Still.
Yeah.
And did you know that
Igor.
that was one of two movies that were made by the same director in 1 year?
Yep. Blazing Saddles.
Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein. And the
His-
director was who, Evan?
Mel Brooks, his
Mel Brooks.
fantastic duo of movies,
Unbelievable.
hit back-to-back home runs with those, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me if I have really scary dreams. I do not. I sleep like a baby every night.
Yeah, Bob's a sleeper.
Yeah, I don't have many nightmares
Me
or
neither.
things I would consider nightmares.
But I don't remember
Horror.
my dreams that often either. Me.
All right, so let's click over to the quiz. We
Quiz
have a
time.
fun quiz tonight, and then we'll take some questions from the
Schwanstucker.
audience.
Okay, let me
Ian-
post the link in the chat
That'd be
for
something.
everybody.
All right, Ian has
That'd be
put the link in the
normal.
chat.
That'd be normal.
What hump?
There's the link
What?
for that.
We saw the Broadway version of Young Frankenstein, and it was wonderful.
It was good.
They did a really good job. They added some stuff that wasn't in the movie that was a beautiful idea. So I recommend going back in time and watching it.
So we're still going to the same place.
Yeah, usually.
Well,
secret
it's a
link.
different, the one I chatted in the Zoom meeting.
Okay, is
There
it
should be a
different
link.
from last week?
Probably.
Let me check.
It's the alphanumeric key.
You're an alphanumeric key.
Wow. Kara, wow. Really?
That one burned, didn't it,
It
Ian?
did. It hurt me.
That's going to
Ian.
leave a mark.
Ian, while
Wow.
people are logging in, can I ask, have you been sleeping? How are things going?
Oh, you know.
A family man.
I feel bad saying this, but it's honestly not that bad. Like, I thought it was going to be a crazy situation of like having a child and waking up every couple hours, but it's really not terrible. It's
Not for
pretty,
you.
Not for me. It's cool. It's,
How's your wife
but
handling
oh, yeah, well, that's a good point. No, she's recovering. But you know, I wake up and I feed the baby like all night.
Aw.
But then she has to pump, you know, because we're doing like breastfeeding and supplementing with formula.
Yep.
Just because my baby eats a lot.
Yeah.
So,
They will do
you
that.
know, and yeah, she's an eater and a pooper, and it's cool. But it's but
Life's
yeah, I
awesome.
mean, also I like, you know, how I work. I kind of can. I don't have a 9 to 5 typically, so that would really mess me up. luckily. So
Yeah, that I think
Cool.
that's the big
Yeah.
that's
the
the
big
big thing.
difference. Yeah, it makes a big difference.
But it's
Do you
pretty
feel
awesome.
like you're bonding? I mean, because you're doing a lot of the feedings, that's really nice. You get that
Yeah, I
quality time.
I try to. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things they say. Don't let the kid fall asleep on you, and
Right.
don't fall asleep as well.
Yeah,
Not
that's
lying in a
smart.
bed,
Oh,
certainly.
that's
yeah.
definitely You're not supposed to do co-sleeping. That's a big
Nope.
no. But yeah,
And make sure you don't have any crib like bumpers
stuff.
Right.
that are yeah, and
Yeah,
stuff
you
like
Blankets.
bear crib.
all-
super
Yeah.
tight sheets, all that
Yeah,
stuff.
I'm
Yep,
a
no
swaddle
loose.
master. I will say I'm pretty good at the swaddle.
Oh, swaddling! I haven't
Oh,
done that
yeah,
in so
it's
long.
adorable.
It's
'Cause
fun.
she's cute. She
That's
looks
a
like my
skill.
wife, but it's pretty.
Aw.
Yes.
You are
that's
Ian. You
very
are
good.
saying all the right things, my friend.
You got this thing down, Ian.
Yeah, it's
Smart
cool.
man.
All right, we got 266 people in the game so far. If you haven't already clicked
Come
on the link,
on.
it's darkenergy.games. I don't know if the URL is there to view at the same time, everybody, unfortunately. To view the stream at the same time. But if you can open up on a separate device, there you go. All right, we get a few more people in 282. I mean, we have 900 plus people watching, so it's about a third of the people joining.
So
Yeah,
get
that's
in the
not-
Wow,
that's not
game.
typical.
Come
Hey, Bob,
on, join the game. It's free.
Join.
real quick,
the
while we're
game.
waiting
It's
for the last
addictive.
people to come in, Bob, somebody mentioned lucid dreaming in the chat, and I just remembered. Did you ever use those lucid dreaming like sleep
Yeah,
goggles that you-
no, I haven't used the mask yet. You've got to fiddle with it and set it up, and I just haven't gotten. I just hasn't been in my head to do that. So I got it right over there, and I've got to remember to do it. I got to do some homework and read the instructions to set it
Okay.
up. But
All right,
I
well,
will
give
do
us
it.
an
I
update on
promise.
that.
I'll report on it in a
Speaking.
near.
Oh,
Oh, killer!
My
Oh,
little
Killer.
Cute.
now for a killer break.
Killer update.
Oh, he just woke up.
Dee-doo,
Killer update. Killer is
doo,
napping.
doo, doo,
Good
doo.
morning.
Killer is
boo-boo.
still napping.
We just need a full screen
Good
killer.
morning.
Killer cam.
Are you Hawaii?
It's
Killer
always
is-
morning to Killer.
is
He's
Killer
just
a liquor
constantly
carrier?
waking up.
All right, let's do this, Ian.
All right, yeah, we got
Okay.
380 people. So when I count down and say click, everybody clicks the synchronize button. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Click.
Got it.
Okay. We have 5 questions in the quiz. 30 seconds between each. And let's wait for everybody to catch up. And tell us how far behind you are, everybody, in the
9
chat.
seconds.
Yeah, that's always
22. 15.
You got 22, 15.
Yes, Killer was
And-
charging. That's his charging bed.
Yeah.
And it, that's
Charge.
cute.
Charge. 17
Charge.
seconds.
5, 9. Okay.
Yeah, we're
10,
averaging
9.
what, about 12 seconds?
Yeah, it looks like
Somewhere
well
less.
under 30 seconds for everybody. There's a
Yeah.
27 second. That's the worst I've seen.
All right,
But
looks
most
good.
people are, around 15 or fewer.
If not, if it says like it's not like an error saying you're too far behind, just follow what's happening on the page. Don't listen to the live stream because it'll be off. But
Okay.
it'll be, it'll be in time with reality.
Yeah, don't listen to us tell you the answer.
Right,
Uh,
basically.
All right, here we
Wait.
go.
All right.
All right, everybody,
Ready.
here we go. We're going to start the game, and away we go. What type of sugar does the brain need for energy? Fructose, sucrose, lactose, glucose.
What about galactose?
Oh, and Steve, don't listen to
That's
the
a thing.
music.
What about cinnamon toast?
What about
Maltose?
What about meal toast?
Yes.
Milk
Steve,
toast.
Milk toast.
Milk toast.
Wait, Steve, don't listen to the music because it'll double up for people.
Yeah,
in
I'm
case
not.
they-
Yeah,
Okay.
don't do that, Steve.
Yeah, Steve.
So click it. Should I click it?
No,
No.
What's
I
the
think,
answer?
I think it's off.
Yes.
The
Steve,
answer
how come your brain can
is
only use that
glucose.
one kind of sugar?
Because it's the simplest sugar.
It's all
Yeah.
it needs.
It's the simplest.
It's the one that can
synthetic
most directly be
HCl.
metabolized into energy, and your brain is very energy hungry.
Every other sugar is a complex version of glucose. It's like
Yeah.
glucose plus something else added to it.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
think
put
your
in
brain
lactose
uses,
in
what,
there. That was for
20%?
Ian.
Your brain
That's
uses
right.
20% of your energy.
I
Something
thought you
like
used
that.
only 10% of your. Never
All right,
mind.
Ian.
Okay, how many wings does a mosquito have?
Oh crap!
2, 4, 6, 8. Who do we appreciate?
I have
mosquitoes?
no idea.
Wow, how could
Mosquito
not be
wings.
obvious?
I know. I'm trying to look at a mosquito in my head.
Right.
but-
That's what you got to do. You got to picture.
So it's
it
not
in
how
your
many
head.
pairs of wings, it's how many
Mosquito.
actual physical wings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's probably wrong.
Did you ever see that laser that shoots mosquitoes out of the sky?
No, I want one.
Oh, that
Love
sounds awesome.
It's
I use
crazy.
my electric racket all the time. Thank you.
Oh, I
Jay.
use. Yeah, I bought one of those too.
Mosquitoes only have 2 wings.
2 wings.
Yeah,
That's right. 2
Oh,
wings.
crap.
I knew
That's
that
like a
was-
trick kind of question.
I knew
I'm
that
gonna
was
look
a
at
little
the
Exactly.
emoji.
Exactly. Right.
I don't like that.
I would have believed it if the actual answer said 53. I just
No, it has to
When
be
it
an
comes to
even
insects-
number.
anything could be
One butt wing.
anything can be yes when it
butt
comes to
wing.
insects.
Yeah, right.
I'm looking at the emoji
3 eyes and the
to see if it's wrong.
All right, here we go.
Uh-huh.
emoji.
What is the fear of thunder and lightning called?
Oh, I hate these.
And
No
Electorophobia,
actual psychologist
Zapophobia.
uses any of these
onomatopoeia
terms.
phobia, astrophobia, paganophobia.
So Ian, I left you some notes for that one.
Oh yeah, I'll read them.
I
Oh
don't know.
God.
That's just a guess.
These are good.
Oh, the mosquito emoji only has 2 wings.
Accurate.
Accurate.
Damn.
Yeah, I got that wrong.
Hey, I got it.
I should have picked that.
So
Damn.
tell us
Hey.
what they
I
are.
should have picked the right one.
Good guess there.
Electorophobia is the fear of chickens. Onomatopoeia. Onomatophobia? Is that right?
Birds.
Fear of names.
Onomatophobia.
Fear of names.
Onomatophobia, like onomatopoeia.
Right.
Paganophobia is fear of beards.
Bonus. Oh, pure
Fear
what?
of beards.
Beard.
Beards?
Beard.
There's a beard fear?
Apparently
No,
there
that's the
is.
thing. So many of these things are like not clinically real.
Yes.
Yeah, I just made up.
It's like, let's remember that.
Okay.
Next
But
one.
if you look them up,
Fear
that's
of the
definition
color
you'll find.
green.
What part of a human body is the
Finally, an
mandible?
easy one.
Wait, what?
The
Don't
lower
touch-
jawbone, the base of the skull, the last joint on each finger, the pelvic opening. Dink. Somebody's listening to the music.
I do
Not
like
me.
the game show music. It's good.
Not me.
I like how. Oh well, I'll wait until the answer's
Too
ready.
easy for Steve,
There we
I'm
go.
sure.
I like how it
made
says
up.
the
I made
lower
up the pelvic
jawbone.
opening. I don't know if that's real or not. I just thought.
Pelvic opening.
Well, of course, but why does it say lower jawbone?
Because
There's
the
only
upper
one
jawbone is the maxilla.
No, that's
Yes.
the upper teeth. That's not your jaw.
Well, yeah, but
That's
you
your
know, the
jaw.
upper mouth, the upper part
The
of
upper
the
mouth, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not called your jaw. Your maxilla.
Yeah, it's a little redundant.
This
I
is
have
your
to,
jaw.
Kara, when I wrote the question, I wanted to make it amazingly clear.
I see.
You know what I mean?
Your jaw ever lock up? Oh, it's the worst
Yeah,
feeling.
it's terrible.
No.
It's so unnatural.
This one's great.
You mean in humans,
Ah,
right?
nice.
Yeah.
Jay.
Go ahead, Ian.
Which is the most sensitive of the senses? Sense of sight, sense of smell, sense of touch, sense of entitlement. Waka,
What do you mean by
waka.
sensitive? You mean has the highest acuity?
It's a little ambiguous, isn't it?
Yeah. This
Little
is.
bit.
Sensitive meaning like the largest spectrum of things it can detect.
Oh.
That's
well,
easy.
Steve. Oh, what the
Oh,
hell?
I didn't know that.
That's wrong.
It's the sense
Yeah,
of
but-
smell.
No, it's not.
the
Yeah,
sense of smell.
I said
The
smell.
sense of smell,
No.
if it's what you just said, Jay, but if it's the most sensitive in terms of like your strongest sense, is the sense of sight.
No, but just to be fair, that I must have entered the answer in incorrectly.
Yeah,
It
because
is
I
the
put
sense
smell,
of smell.
too. Yeah.
I don't know, Jay, because I mean, you could detect almost. I mean, I've read different accounts, but
Could've
you could
sworn we
detect like
talked about
one
this.
photon of light. That's pretty damn sensitive since you're looking
That's
at
not what he said.
quadrillions.
He said the biggest range of things you can smell. Or
Yeah,
of
like a
sense.
trillion different odors, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he defined sensitivity differently. That's the problem.
So everybody gets a +1 on that.
Good. 'cause
Okay.
At least I have more than half now.
All right, we're
Finally.
gonna stop the game. I think
horribly
everybody's
on
got
this.
it. We'll see.
Let's see how
All right,
SGU
let's
did.
see.
There we go.
Well, I actually got 80%, not 60%.
Wow, so good job.
Ooh, a world citizen.
Yeah, world citizen. That's awesome. Good
Oh, I
job,
love
Greece.
world citizens.
Yeah, except actually not because that means they got 80%.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
means they got
right.
the right one wrong.
Yeah, that's right. Anyone with 100% got 80%.
But the people with 80% didn't necessarily get 100%. We need to know which one they got wrong.
Yeah.
So take that, Bulgaria.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that-
everybody's the
Djibouti got it.
same.
Kara,
You get
the
a
quiz
trophy.
results are a quiz, even among themselves.
Gee
Seriously.
whiz.
I'd like to. I'm trying to balance these questions. I'm using my gut.
Mhm.
And because I screwed up that thing, my gut, I can't say if my gut was good this week. It seems like the average thing here was about right. So
But you can go question by question.
Yeah, a lot
The
of people
phobia
guessed
one
smell.
was very good. It was spread out. Jawbone
Yeah,
was
except
easy.
hard. Jawbone was easy.
Oh, it's
The
easy.
senses was wrong, but most
Senses
people
was
did
wrong.
guess. Like 52% did guess sense of smell.
Sugar was easy.
Sugar was
Yeah.
Look
easy.
at that. By far the easiest.
that is the way to do it. You're right, Steve. So overall, like people were nailing these, and most
Mosquito
people
one
were
was
getting
hard,
right.
Jay. Look, that would have been a good science or fiction. We would have all been screwed.
Yeah.
I got that one right.
Go, Steve. Yeah, but you never play science or fiction.
But I know a lot about
Rarely.
insects.
Rarely. Yeah.
So guys, as usual, give us feedback. They're at the top of the page that you're looking at right now. It says fill out our survey.
Oh, okay. Let me go do
yeah.
that now.
If you're enjoying these, if you have any ideas on how to make it better, let us know. If you just want to straight up complain about any of us to any, if you want to say, hey, Bob, I've got a beef with Jay, go ahead. That's fine. Now
Can
we're
you
gonna
program
take,
it, Jay, so that more than one is correct?
right now, it's a hard no. The answer to that is no. I didn't even think of that, Kara. I have never even, me and
Right.
Ian and Frank have not thought of that.
Because
That's
putting sense of
interesting.
entitlement also would have been funny. And it's like if you had put either one and gotten it correct, that would
Yeah,
have been
that's
kinda cool.
I'll tell Frank. That might be
Yeah.
fun. Every once in a while, throw a zinger in there where two answers could be
Text
right.
me.
Right.
But you'd have to be able to pick two answers, and we don't.
Yeah, it'd be a coding issue.
Let me think about it. It's all a
Okay.
coding issue.
Oh, I see.
Let's take some questions from the from people who are watching the stream.
Okay. Here we go. This kind of relates to previous discussion. I was wondering if there are any concerns taking a COVID-19 vaccine when available that has been fast-tracked through medical trials. What was a typical study time for other revolutionary vaccines like for polio?
Years.
Years. Yeah.
Multiple years.
I think 4 years is like about the shortest.
So, yeah, when we
vaccines.
kind of talked about this, I mean, it could work. It could be fine. But it's, and some of the increased speed is regulatory. It's not scientific. And that's kind of a win-win. But the question is, how quickly can they do enough science that we have a confident
Wait a minute.
answer?
Did your Zoom get shut off? Did your Zoom close?
I don't know. I'm not getting I don't think so.
I see
It
him.
looks like the feed is.
But
down.
That's
is
another-
it,
well,
what are
no,
we
the
seeing?
the feed is there. It's just like hidden.
Why am I not seeing
Can
the
people,
feed on?
can
All right,
people
so
still
people can-
hear us?
Oh,
They
yes.
can hear us.
Get a
Can
phone,
hear,
hear,
but
but
not
can't
see.
see.
I know. It's because of this. Hold on. It's because of this.
Get a flashlight.
It's because
I got
Ian
it.
put a
What,
big
Ian?
black thing in front of the thing there.
No, that's not what it is.
Because Ian turned the lights off.
That was
Good
last
job,
week's
Ian.
problem.
Okay, stand by.
Hey, this is more like a traditional
I know what's
podcast
going
now.
on. Ian is feeding the baby, and he pressed the wrong button.
That's
Come on.
not what it is.
It's clearly user error.
Guys,
While we're
There we
waiting,
go.
let's
I
do
will
this.
cast a spell.
let's do the weekly photo, guys. Ready?
Oh,
Oh.
There we
okay.
go.
5,
All right, it's
4, 3, 2, 1. Thank
So
you.
there is something to be said, though, Steve, right?
Yes.
About the fact that there was a MERS and there was a SARS vaccine
MERS.
pretty well into development.
Yeah, not
And
completed, but they were in
Not
development.
completed, but
So we had
but
a little
like
bit
the
of a head
earlier
start.
Phases. Yeah. So by the time this coronavirus came around, we weren't working from scratch, and I think that's why we were able to get to phase 3 so quickly. And
Yeah.
that and many
Really?
other. But phase 3 should not be rushed. Again, the only way I'd feel comfortable taking a vaccine that was available at the end of this year is if they could show that the efficacy was so high that it was in the public's interest to
Yeah, the
allow
more
that vaccine to-
effective it is, the quicker you can get to statistical significance. But
Exactly.
if it's not as effective, it could take a lot longer. Right.
Yeah.
So
Have you seen anything about Steve? A friend just asked me about it the other day, and I didn't even know until I started doing some digging that the tuberculosis vaccine that none of us really got if we were born in the U.S., but a lot of people who were not born in the U.S. have the scar on their arm. They might have a polio scar, but they'll probably also have the tuberculosis vaccine scar. Apparently, there are some early studies that might be efficacious, which to me makes no sense because it's a bacterial infection. But I guess there's some kind of early evidence that people who are inoculated against tuberculosis have like lower incidence rates. So
of
I don't know.
COVID.
Yeah, so it could be an interesting thing to follow. But
Yeah, I
apparently
don't
it's, like,
know.
super
I haven't
early.
looked into it, to be honest with you.
Right. I think it's like still in really early phases
What do you got,
of
Ian?
research. But yeah, kind of cool.
From our Discord, Fox was asking any updates on the complaint Steve's daughter was making to her university.
It didn't go anywhere. You know, she tried. So if I'm trying to remember, that was a while ago. That was about that one teacher, right? Was that it? Who was promoting nonsense?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
no, wasn't there something like? Was it just?
Oh no,
a
they were
teacher
they
or was it
were
like a
they were
posting?
they were featuring a seminar that was
Yeah.
being run by somebody who was
Right.
promoting their bullshit.
Crank. Yeah.
And yeah, she did what she could, but it didn't go anywhere. The powers that be were not receptive.
Do they have a skeptic society like at her school?
No.
I wonder if she would want to spearhead something like that.
Yeah, but no.
That'd be cool. Yeah. 'Cause I know that there's like
that's the way it
secular
goes.
student alliance things and there
Yeah.
there's
Humanist
ways to-
groups.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, humanist groups and stuff. It'd be cool to start a skeptic society at your university.
Yeah.
Wish I had one when I was going to school.
Me too.
All right,
See.
Ian, bring us to another question.
So along the lines of the phase 3 trials, Skeptibrarian in Discord was asking, I've been getting emails from the ALS Society asking for support to put pressure on the FDA to approve a new medication without phase 3 trials. Anyone have an opinion about this when a disease is 100% fatal?
Whoa.
Yes.
Right.
So there is. I read about that. There is a new treatment that looks promising for ALS. Although a lot of treatments that have looked promising for ALS failed in their phase 3 trials. The problem with giving people access to it before you do the phase 3 trial is that how are you ever going to recruit for the phase 3 trial? Who is going to go into a study when they have a chance of getting the placebo if they could get it outside of the trial? And then we may never know that it doesn't work. You know what I mean?
Right.
And with ALS, works is a continuum. Like the one drug that's approved for the actual, as a disease modifying agent for ALS slows it down by 20%. You're never going to know that anecdotally. You're never going to know that by just using it. You need statistical data to detect that kind of an outcome. But that's a worthwhile outcome if you could survive 20% longer with the medication. What if people survive 50% longer? You're still not going to know that unless you do a clinical trial. So the chances are, if we don't do a clinical trial, we're never going to figure out if it works or not. Yes, you can do, open label trials, retrospective studies. We will get some data that way. But again, like we were saying, the bigger the effect, the easier it will be to detect. But for most things that we're looking at, chances are, without a high quality trial, we're not going to really have a confident answer.
Right.
So I get that, people, if you have a fatal illness, there's something called compassionate use, and it's perfectly reasonable to use things for compassionate use, even if they're not proven, therapies. That's fine. But if there's an option to get it through a clinical trial, that should always be the first choice. If you can't get it through the clinical
Makes sense.
trial and you want it as compassionate use, then that's fine.
It seems like with ALS, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's even somewhat more complicated in the sense that, like you were saying, the drug that's already on the market slows it down by 20%. And
Yeah.
like, let's say maybe this is higher than that. But when you say slows it down, do you mean to death or do
Yes.
you mean to trach?
Well, it's
Because
it's
the weird
both.
thing is,
It's
yeah,
both.
because once you
It's
trach, you can live a lot longer.
It's trach-free survival. It's
I
trach-free
see.
survival. That's
Okay.
the outcome that they use. Being trached and dying are considered the same outcome.
The same thing for
Yeah.
ALS. Yeah, because that's the weird thing. Is like if you decide to trach, you can live.
Yeah.
I don't want to say indefinitely, but for
Well,
a lot longer.
Yeah, you could live for years. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so trach-free survival is the outcome that they use.
Gotcha.
All right, Ian, what do you got?
Okay, question for Jay. That's actually probably Bob. As a coffee aficionado, does it drive you nuts that Bob is drinking coffee out of a paper cup? Oh, never mind.
That's for Jay. Jay's the aficionado. Bob is the consumer.
All right, so I'll answer honestly, but also give a little humor in this. I mean, if Bob is enjoying drinking that swill that he drinks, that's cool. Like
No judgment
Bob-
here.
Bob
No.
actually enjoys it. Like Bob is drinking Keurig coffee, which is probably the worst version of coffee that there is.
Oh, I disagree.
And Bob drinking it out of a paper cup. I mean, look, I'm definitely more of a drink soda out of a ice cold glass bottle, or beer out of an ice cold glass bottle type of guy. It does alter the experience again.
Yeah,
but if Bob can drink that piss water out of that crappy cup, he's
Bob,
welcome to do it. No judgment here.
How does it not get cold too fast? Like, I love a good mug that has like thermal properties.
Oh, the cup.
Some
has
paper
great
cups have thermal
Oh,
properties.
does it? Okay. I didn't know if he was
Absolutely.
drinking out of
Cups.
like a coffee paper cup or just like a
because your
paper
mug
cup.
has an open, does not have a lid. This lid will keep it hot. But still, because I like it really hot, still I will warm this up. I will go back before I finish the coffee and warm it up because it's got to be very hot. I used to have a
interesting.
nice thermal mug, but it was just a pain in the ass to clean. I got to find a better one.
Somebody asked.
Or you could
about
get a hot plate, like a warmer.
Yeah, but yeah,
I bought him
that's
one of
what I
those.
thought
He
about
didn't use it.
Oh.
Somebody asked about pod coffee. Any kind of. I've tried them all. Here's the problem. It's a wonderful idea, and the machines that exist are really cool. They work well. The fact is, though, that as soon as you grind a bean, it's got a shelf life. Whether it's sealed
Right.
or not, it's got a shelf life. So, how quickly, you should be pouring hot water on recently
Freshly
ground
ground,
coffee
yeah.
within 2 hours is like as long as it could go before it loses too much of its essence.
Jay, do you know about my amazing coffee machine?
No.
So I spent way too much money on this. It was my Christmas present to myself last year. It's a countertop coffee maker that is completely electronic. So
Yep.
the top houses whole beans and it has
Yes.
a grinder built into it. So, and it's airtight storage on top. So you have, and I only drink espresso. So if you
Right.
wanted like regular drip coffee like Bob drinks, you'd have to make yourself an Americano with my machine because I only use dark roast beans.
Sure.
But you can select, it's got a water filter in it. It's got a milk frother thing that you add to it. So it's just cold milk out of the fridge. And you can select a cappuccino, a latte, an Americano, shots of espresso, blah, blah, blah. It grinds it. It pressurizes it. It adds the hot milk and you have an all-in-one drink at the touch of a button. So I get a latte
Yeah.
from nothing, from scratch in
Kara,
about 45
that sounds
seconds.
like a $2,000 machine you have there.
It's like a $900 machine.
Okay. I mean, yeah,
but
you
it's
got to be careful.
life-changing for me because I get why people use pod coffee. I'm not going to sit here and take 15 minutes to make a cup of coffee every morning. I don't have that kind of time.
It doesn't take 15 minutes. It really doesn't. And then, all right, I get it.
But for a
totally
latte,
understand
it does. It's like a whole other step.
I mean, if you know what you're doing, once you're in the groove, you could do it
Yeah.
very quickly. There is a convenience factor. I mean, it's wonderful to have somebody hand you a cup of coffee, right? I love that.
And that's what my
feeling.
robot does.
Yeah.
I like tea.
So
The robot serves you.
He does. He just hands me a perfectly brewed
my,
cup
la-
of
my
coffee.
With a
last
compliment?
comment, for the sake of not boring people, my last comment
Too
on
late.
the coffee machine is you really do need to spend a lot of money to get a good coffee machine if you're going to use one, because the cheap versions don't do anything well. Like just frothing milk. Like if
No
you're- if
coffee
you're-
mate.
No. What I mean is, if you're going to buy like a machine that can do what Kara is doing, something that makes espresso or cappuccino or whatever, you got to drop real money on that.
Yeah, it's
You gotta get something that
expensive.
takes up a lot of counter space and weighs like a car engine in order for it to really do what you want it to do.
I mean, mine is pretty much the most affordable version. And people were asking, mine's a Philips. And it's got the milk thing. So I think it's like an $800 machine and it's got a pretty small thing. I compared it to some of the Italian and like French brands that were on the market that cost $1,200, $1,300. And I actually like the Philips one better. It was like metal and it wasn't all plastic and it was like sturdy. And I've had it now well over a year. And it's served me really well. I mean, honestly, yes, it was expensive, but for me, this was an investment in daily use. And it's something that like, I am so glad I made the investment because I love it.
Yeah.
Highlight of my morning.
Spend the extra amount of money if you're going to do it, because I'm telling you,
like
if you
it,
buy
yeah.
some,
If you
buy
like it, if
something
it's a part of
cheap,
your routine.
you're going to use it. It's going to frustrate you and you're going to throw it away. So you just might as well double the money you spend and have it for 5 years,
I'll have a Sanka.
That's oh God.
Jay, I've had many coffees in your house, and more often than not, they're too bitter. Why? Why is that? Why is that awesome coffee that at your house taste bitter to me, even because I throw in a lot of sugar, I throw in a little bit of milk. Why does it taste bitter to me?
Bitter
Bob,
dregs.
what you're actually tasting
It's
is coffee at my house.
Yeah, you
At
just
your
might
house,
not.
You're tasting
might-
water. Bob, it really is watered down old coffee. That's what you're drinking. So
I
you're
think it
getting
also just depends on what you like. You know what I mean, Bob? I'm like you. This is why I like lattes. I like espresso with milk and some sort of sweetener. I like, a shot of espresso. I don't want to drink a big coffee that tastes bitter. I don't like bitter flavors. And so for me, I still want really good quality coffee. I just want it to also taste good. And that's why I went my route. But I get it. Some people like black coffee or they just put milk in their coffee. Is that what you do, Jay?
I mean, I don't go for black coffee. I can't. It's just
it's too much.
But like the guy who I learned all of my brother-in-law, Scott, I learned everything I know about coffee through him. And he is straight up a black, like if you're a real coffee guy, doesn't put anything in it.
He makes Jay look like me.
Yeah. I mean, he's got coffee machines from around the world. He's got like thousands of dollars worth.
He has 4
equipment.
civets in a cage.
Yeah. He's had civet coffee. He's had it.
What do you mean?
Of course he
No,
has.
that's not Somebody just said I don't drink espresso. That is wrong. I do drink espresso. My machine extracts.
All right,
It's
let's
an
take
espresso
one more
machine.
question because tonight Bob and Steve are coming over my house to have dinner and to watch The Boys.
The boys.
So let's take
So
one
there's
last
3
question.
episodes out tonight, apparently.
3
from The Voice.
episodes.
3.
So this comes from Jenny in the Discord. I'm interested to hear the SGU's take on the common belief that your phone is listening to you and targeting ads.
Oh.
Based on what you say.
Oh, I read about
Didn't
that.
we?
I believe it personally.
No, we did a news item years ago about the TVs listening
yeah,
I
to
don't
that they
you.
remember.
have.
Yeah,
And
but
our
know.
phones do have listening devices. And
Yeah,
I've
they-
seen some pretty good exposés on that.
If I had to put money down, I'd say probably not because there's
Yeah.
so much online activity. They have enough information on you. They don't need to be listening to you 24/7 to get more. I think there's plenty of information out there about everything, every site you go to, everything you purchase. That's a tidal wave of information, and to turn that tidal wave into something that's in orders of magnitude greater, I don't know.
maybe we'll look
I
it up
don't
and
know,
do a
man.
deep dive
Yes.
on the show.
That's my
Wait,
take.
Bob, but
What about
just
your
like
Alexa?
security at the airport, privacy is an absolute illusion.
Yeah, I think if I had to put
No
money on it,
privacy.
I would assume any technology that exists is being utilized.
And think about
know
it.
the
The
technology
companies
exists.
get busted doing things that they shouldn't do, and they're like, "Whoops, sorry." Yep.
Sorry, we got caught.
Yeah, sorry. Look at all the data breach that happened with the credit union. Our credit card, your credit, whatever. I can't even think of it now. But what happened to them? Like almost nothing happened. Like they can make these massive mistakes and quote unquote mistakes, and nothing happens. I mean, look, if you're worried about privacy, you have an amazing Herculean task in front of you to keep your data private. It's just the way that it is. It's the world we live in. So don't.
Yeah, but
don't
that doesn't mean that they're actually doing it though, and I wouldn't believe that unless there was evidence that they are. Because again, as someone said, they get lots of information from our online activity. They don't need to be spying on us through our phones, and
I
there
don't
may
think
be
that's
reasons why they're not
true.
doing it. But we'll see. I
don't
think
know.
I think
Well, think about it.
we're just
behavior-
guessing.
Guy's gonna
I think
spy.
there's
The
probably a
behavior that we-
definitive answer to that question. We just
You're
need to
right.
look
There's
it up.
probably a definitive answer, but I think we're guessing
Right.
based on the available evidence.
Sure,
And
of
there
course.
are examples, like with your Alexa, like with your Google Home, like with your TVs, like Evan shared in that one news article.
Well, let me
And the
put it
fact
this
that it's-
way. I think the question's imprecise. Like your phone is listening to you. What you really mean is that there could be an app on your phone
Yes.
that's using the phone to get information.
Yeah, but is it a ghost app? Like, is it an
Yeah.
app that we don't know is there?
Yeah,
But
it could
guys,
be.
but think about
Yeah.
like Steve is
but,
right
but,
when you.
but
think,
we don't
when-
know.
Right.
The point here is this: how much more would they know about us if they literally heard everything that we say? And I would say, sure, there's a lot more that these companies could learn about us. But when we're talking about companies like Google and Amazon and Apple, their data collection and their cross stitching of our data, like they can learn almost everything that they need to about us to know all of our buying traits,
And-
all of our likes and dislikes and habits just by the shit that we're giving them for free.
Yeah, Jay, that's exactly the point I was going to make. It's not what you say, because what you say is almost irrelevant. It's what you're willing to spend money on. And
Yep.
that's what they're tracking.
And
What
they
we
know it.
spend money on, not, what kind of stupid, not like whatever, something unrelated.
I get targeted
What you're
ads
spending
for
money on.
I get targeted ads for things my sister and my mother have been searching for
Yeah.
online. Somewhere out there, they know I'm related,
Wow.
and they send it to me. They do.
And I know that
It's
this
unreal.
is totally
It's
anecdotal,
wild.
but I have a friend who was like paranoid about this. And so she decided to run herself a little experiment, and there's no control here. But she said, what is a thing that is not relevant to me in my life at all?
Yeah.
Let me think. Okay, golf. I don't play golf. I have nothing to do with golf. I don't
Yep.
date anybody who plays golf. And she said for like 2 weeks, she didn't do any searches about golf, but she dropped golf words a lot when she was near her phone, and she started getting golf ads.
Just saying.
It's
just
anecdotal.
saying.
You're right.
I'm just
It's,
saying.
Yeah,
it's totally
it's-
anecdotal.
yeah.
I'm just saying it, but it would be really interesting.
Hey,
Let's do a deep dive on this guy.
Wait,
Yeah.
Kara, you just made
Yeah.
me think of something fun. and
We
it
could
would
test
be
that
scary.
ourselves.
But
We
we
could do a test.
could have our listeners join us. Like we could pick. We could have hundreds of people do this test for a couple of weeks and see if anybody gets any legit results. Let the SGU will think about this, and maybe we'll talk about it.
Hmm.
All right, let me bring this home because I'm very hungry and I can't eat until Bob and Steve get here, which is going to be a while.
I have an announcement.
Oh, go ahead, Ev. You're right. You
Yes,
do
I have an announcement tomorrow, Saturday, September 5th, 5 p.m. East
Interesting
Coast
announcement.
time. Live, the first
Ah.
ever live Which Game First? Sorry, it's out of focus.
Cool.
Podcast I do with Celeste DeAngelis. That's Perry's sister. She's the host of the show. It's a board game podcast. We've been playing board games together all our lives, along with all our friends. And Which Game First is the name of it. I will put it up in the chat window. I really would love for you guys to tune in. It is, again, the first time we were ever doing our podcast live, in which we're going to review 3 board games and decide whether to bury it or dig it up for everyone to play. So I hope you join us.
But it's the live Dragon Con, right? Is that
It
right?
is
Yeah,
the live
it's
Dragon
Dragon
Con.
Con.
Yes,
Yeah,
virtual
just so people
Dragon
know.
Con. And I'm about to put the information right there in the chat.
I saw you guys do your very first panel at Dragon Con, and I had a blast.
That was fun last year. Yeah,
I
it was
absolutely had a
fun.
blast. It was so much fun. Like Mikey came and saw us do our show, and it was just really cool to have you guys there.
It was dynamite. We had a blast doing it.
So we first off, I want to thank everybody for coming. But I did want to tell everyone if you haven't noticed on the podcast, we have not been running a lot of ads because companies are not placing ads like they used to.
Same.
And-
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have been actually experiencing recently, like the SGU is hitting some economic hard times right now. So if there's ever a time that you wanted to support the SGU, and if you have, only if you have disposable income, do this. But if you do, you can become a patron. You can go to patreon.com/skeptics guide and help us, make it through this ridiculous hump that we're trying to get through. I mean, our ads are basically half of our revenue, and they're gone. And it's been pretty
now,
tough. Yeah, it's been tough. I mean, we did drop, the SGU dropped a lot of money on Nexus that was not paid back because it was hardware that
It
we
was a
needed to get.
donation, basically.
Yeah, it's basically
Yeah, and it
or
was
long-term
experimental
investment, yeah.
and- yeah.
yeah, but that was a big ouch. So anyway, I very rarely do this. I ask people to join, but I haven't been because of the financial hardships that have been going on this year. But if you have the disposable income and you'd like to support us, now would be a very helpful time to do it.
And hey, only because this guy got my goat when he was talking about my espresso machine not being an espresso machine.
Oh,
Yeah.
15 bars of pressure, biatches.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah.
Kara, one morning you're gonna go in and make a cup of espresso or a latte,
A latte.
and your machine is gonna turn to you and go, "How you doing?"
Yeah. It's going to be like, I know exactly how you like
Yeah,
it.
I know how you like it. Why did we
It's,
make
by the
that
way-
voice South
Yes.
American? I don't know.
For people interested, it's the Series 3200 with the Latte Co.
Cool.
Check it out.
Guys, thank you all. Have a great night. I'll see Bob and Steve soon. I'll see Evan and Kara next Wednesday.
yep.
Oh, and also subscribe to TalkNerdy.com. What?
That's
Talk
right.
nerdy.
Yeah, Torque
Oh,
Nerdy,
wow.
please.
And Alpha Quadrant 6.
Alpha
Yes.
Quadrant
Yes.
6. The whole
and we-
slate of shows.
We have an amazing interview tomorrow on the SGU when the show drops. We interviewed Tim from Everyday Astronomer.
Yeah.
Everyday
Yeah.
astronaut.
Great.
Everyday
Everyday
astronaut.
Astronaut.
Sorry. Tim is for Tim Gray. Not only did he answer tons of questions that we've all had, but we had a really fun discussion about the future of basically where humans are going to go in outer space and rocketry. And then Tim told us that it was partly the SGU's influence on him that pulled him out of a religious background.
Yeah,
and
although he
got
said that
him
offline
going.
so that we wouldn't tell it to anybody.
Did he? Sorry, Tim.
Whoopsie.
Tim, dude, sorry. I didn't know if that did not. No detail. Didn't give any real details away, but it was really cool to hear that. But he's such a great guy, and he's got one of those speaking voices that makes you want to listen, which I really like.
Absolutely, he was super fun too. Just like
There's this,
And we did
there's
like
this
a
channel.
15-minute interview, so there'll
Thanks,
be
Ian.
part in the show and then the whole thing for premium content.
And apologies if I sound weird this week. My mic settings were screwy.
Was that what it is?
Yeah, it was from traveling. My mic was set to my freaking laptop mic, which sucks. But next week it'll be better and it'll sound just like this
Be
again.
back to normal.
Sorry.
Hey, my zombie's hugging me. I love my zombie.
I call him Bitey.
Thanks, everyone. Hey, guys,
All right.
sorry for the meltdown tonight. I get pissed
Don't
off.
apologize.
Jay's
for that.
hangry.
I'll
come
never
at- you
forgive.
come
I'll
at
never
me.
forgive you, Jay.
Listen, we're all angry. You know, it's just we show it in different ways.
And
But
mine
like, no,
just
I don't
comes-
think anybody's faulting you for this, Jay.
All right, good. It comes flying out of me. I have no tolerance anymore for this bullshit. I can't take it anymore. But anyway, let's leave on a happy note. I love every single one of you, and I'll see you guys very soon.
Next time. See you later.
Bye.
Thanks,
Ian.
everyone. Really appreciate it.
Doodles.
Toodles.
Located at theskepticsguide.org. Send your questions to info@theskepticsguide.org. And if you would like to support the show and all the work that we do, go to patreon.com/skepticsguide and consider becoming a patron and becoming part of the SGU community. Our listeners and supporters are what make SGU possible.